Hello everyone, I want to officially welcome you to another Fayette County Public Schools Community Chat. My name is Joseph Barrow. I'm the current superintendent here in Fayette County, and as you can see, I'm taking off my mask so you can hear me a little better. To my right is Dr. Jonathan Patterson. I certainly want to publicly introduce him and welcome him as the successor in coming in as the new superintendent here in Fayette County Schools. And Dr. Patterson, welcome aboard, and we're excited about having you here in Fayette County. We made a public press announcement release this past Friday, and I felt like it was very important for us to be able to come back and begin to have some conversation with our community. We've worked real hard to try to communicate with our community all throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. We recognize that where you stand on particular issues depends upon where you sit. Some of our folks have been very, very happy with the practice that we put into place. Some of our folks have not been happy. What we've tried to do is use good common sense. We've tried to look at our data very carefully. And I'm very pleased to say that we have completed 5 weeks of school within our hybrid model. I think everyone recognizes that we started out with really 2 major choice options for parents with regard to the beginning of school. One is complete virtual, full-time virtual. That is still engaged and still in place, and that is not going to change. The other option dealt with brick and mortar, or what we call brick and mortar, but within the brick and mortar option, we have really different phases that we can go, and we turned them green, yellow, and red. Green being full face-to-face with safety protocols in place. Yellow being a hybrid model where we had Group A and Group B with a Wednesday flex day. And then, of course, the red model, which was all virtual all the time. We looked at our data all throughout the summer and then beginning into the early August days, and ultimately we felt that we could accomplish coming back to school within the hybrid model. And for the last 5 weeks, that's worked very, very well for us. I'm pleased that the model has done exactly what it was designed to do. But as with the notion of trying to create a vaccine, there are trials that have to go on. And in order to see if something is going to work, you have to implement a trial. And we're at that point now where we feel like we can implement a trial to see if we can bring back more face-to-face instruction. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're attempting to do. That was what was announced on Friday to our staff and certainly to the community at large. Some people will ask, well, why do you want to change now? What you've got is working. And yes, it is working, and we're proud of that fact. But we feel like because of the data, and folks, I will tell you, we have collected mounds and mounds of data since last March. We've been very, very thorough with that. In fact, I feel very comfortable with our district's data. It is trending very much in the right direction, and we feel that we're at a point now with our protocols in place, with the proof of the concept of having washing your hands, wearing your mask, watching your distance. All of our protocols are well entrenched now. We feel like we may be able to move forward just a little bit. And that's what we're looking at doing with a phased-in approach. Some people have said, why not just go to green immediately? And folks, I want to be clear. We still view this as being in the hybrid model, moving towards the direction of green, but we're still in yellow as far as I'm concerned. We're looking at maintaining all of our safety protocols. We're looking at bringing a phased approach back in. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment, but with our grades 3 and grade 6 coming back in on the 28th of September. Then we'll continue to move through the model as it's been designed and see if that is going to be successful for us. It is a trial. If we see where that's going to not work, we can press pause and continue to monitor the data. If it goes extremely well, we could move faster, but we're not going to go in a hurry. We're going to look at the data based on 2-week cycles, and we'll be able to measure that as we move forward. So we're not going into green immediately. We are continuing to work through the hybrid process as we go. We've been asked questions about the elementary school. I know a survey went out to all of our elementary parents asking that question, and in talking with Dr. Patterson, I've shared that initially when we put the model back in place, we talked about being able to give our elementary students, or their parents actually, choice about which model they felt most comfortable with. And we said we would do that within the first 9 weeks. And we did that in the beginning intentionally because we know that our youngest students need more adult guidance. They need more help. That's the reason why even within the hybrid model, we started pre-K through 2. They've been in class 5 days a week since we started back on August 17th, and it's worked very well for us. But we also know that our children at that early age, they're still learning to read, at least all the way up through about 3rd grade. And then when we get into 3rd grade and up through high school, we're looking at reading to learn. So we knew that our younger children needed to be in school first. And we've been able to do that and accomplish that. And now what we'd like to be able to do is to bring the rest of our elementary and ultimately our middle school students back in this phased model. Ultimately, we want our high school students to be able to do that as well. Our thinking is, and I think best practice will tell you, that our older students are more independent. They don't have to have the constant supervision for our parents or from our parents, but at some point in time, we hope to have all of our kids back in when it's safe to be able to do that. Will middle and high school students have a choice? That's something that Dr. Patterson and I have talked about, and yes, they will. There is a little bit of difference, and this is where some of the work becomes complex. In elementary grades, our teachers are certified, typically kindergarten through 5th grade, and they can work with any grade, K, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all the way up to 5th grade. But when you get into the secondary school, we're talking about middle school and high school, those teachers are certified in specific content areas, and that's what they're trained for. So they can't just teach all students, they have to teach in the areas that they're certified for. So the scheduling becomes a little more complex, at least as how to match up students with the content area teachers that they need. But to answer the question that we've received already, will our middle school and high school students be given a choice? And it's our intention to be able to offer that, but we're not going to say that we're doing it at a specific date. We need to get to the end of the first, or closer to the end of first semester, and then we'll be able to better make that judgment call. One question that we've also been asked is, what about the wearing of face mask? And you can see Dr. Patterson and I both have ours with us. We're more than 6 feet apart, but we think that that is one of the major reasons why we have been successful about being able to keep school in operations. We think it is critically important that we continue to do that. So regardless of the scenario, at least when we're in the pandemic for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue to ask our students and staff and anyone who visits the school to make sure that you wear a face covering. We think that's critically important. That aligns with the CDC guidance. In fact, the head of the CDC said last week he thinks that face masks may be as much as important as maybe a vaccine itself. And it's been our practice so far to see that. I know we're going to have a link on the end of this recording where you can actually see our public service announcement about the importance of wearing your mask, washing your hands, and watching your distance. The phase-in for grade levels, I've already mentioned that. I think that's important. We'll continue to do that over 2-week periods. That makes sense to us. Part of the reason for that is as more children or as more young people enter back into the building, we're going to be looking at our protocols and how we direct students through the building in order to maintain social distancing as much as humanly possible. We recognize that some of our classes, particularly in our upper grades, will have larger numbers of students, and we may not be able to be a full 6 feet apart. That's the reason why these face coverings are absolutely essential. We'll continue to social or physically distance as much as we can, as often as we can. Even on the bus, I will tell you that we've gone back in and looked at our numbers and riders. We're only going to have 2 students per bus. The maximum number that we see on any of our buses is between 45 and 50. That's no more than 2 on a bus. And those students are seated based on their siblings. They're together as families. And that, I think, is a good way to manage our bus routes, and that seems to work very, very well for us. Our first and most important thing, and Dr. Patterson, I suspect you would agree 100%, is the safety and well-being of our children, the safety and well-being of our staff. That is absolutely essential. And I just want the whole community to know how much I appreciate our building principals, our classroom teachers, all of our facility workers and custodians and food service workers. They have done a phenomenal job. All of our people have done a phenomenal job in being able to keep everyone healthy and safe. And I feel like we can continue to do this. We're looking forward to having this trial begin on September 28th. I will tell you what we will do is we will post the rollout dates in this video clip. I know our intention is to start on September 28th with our 3rd and 6th graders, and again wait until every 2 weeks to see where we will go from that point. If we need to pause, we will. We'll consider the data every step of the way. Dr. Patterson, I've talked an awful lot here. I apologize for taking all of the time here, but I did want to make sure that we covered some of the talking points that I thought was really critical about the new update to our plan.
Dr. Barrow, thank you so much for your leadership and the leadership of the district, and as you mentioned, our principals in schools. Our schools are being successful, our teachers are being successful. School is the safest place to be based on the numbers that we have seen. We've seen a downtick in all of our numbers, including positives as well as those students who are quarantined. And we will continue to look at the data and make decisions based on that data. I want to thank again the teachers and community for their input on the plan. We look forward to gathering more and more input. This plan is the plan right now, and if conditions change, we will again continue to look at the plan. We've heard from a lot of community members and our teachers, and visiting our classrooms, our teachers are being successful, and we believe we can have students come back even more frequently and continue that success. So those classes are contained, and we do have all of those students coming to school, both A day and B day. So we are seeing that the classroom can maintain safety, and the protocols are working. So again, thank you for your leadership, and I want to thank the community for their engagement. And your continued engagement is really important for our schools to remain open. So thank you for all that you're doing at home to support the schools, and most importantly to support your students as they continue this school year and we look forward to a great remainder of the school year. So thank you again, and best wishes and stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson. I would mention this to our community as well. As we receive questions, we'll be posting another frequently asked questions document. If you have questions, please send those, email those to Miss Melinda Berry Dreisbach, our Public Information Officer, and we will make sure that those questions are addressed that are most frequently asked, so that we can be transparent, we can share with you all of the data that we have. I think everyone is recognizing that we've been posting data on the system performance with regard to cases for the last several weeks. And we're following our guidelines through the Georgia Department of Public Health. We've got a great working relationship with our local group, and we'll continue to work with them. From the very beginning, we did not, in fact, we said up front, we can't control this virus. There's no one can. No human being can anyhow at this point. We've got the ability, though, I think, to manage the pandemic and to prevent the spread of the contagion. We've had some cases in our district, no question about that. We've addressed those very quickly. We'll continue to do that with more students in the building, particularly on the quarantine side. If we're going to err, it'll be on the side of being conservative. But this is, as we said earlier, a trial. And we feel like we are well at a point where we can implement this trial, and we're looking forward to great success. We certainly, with our virtual students, we're going to continue to improve in that instructional delivery model, and we're looking forward to more students being back in place in our buildings. We very much appreciate your time and attention today. Please feel free to let us know if you have other questions. Thanks, and have a great day.